On today's episode of the High Not to Laugh podcast, we're going to do a format that's one of our 4 new formats where I'm going to debate him. And today's episode is going to be about the movie Logan.
I'm high.
All right, welcome to the High Not to Laugh podcast. For those who don't know, we have 4 different topics that we are going to cycle through. This is our 4th one. It's the first time we've done it. We're calling it Master Debaters, where we find something we disagree on, and we're going to debate our point of view on it. This one started, this is about the movie Logan. Yes. This one started when he and I argued over its quality, not as a movie, but as a representation of the comics, and the fact that the origin story of the character Old Man Logan came from
where it came from, what it came from.
Right. And we have different opinions on it, and we'll get into that. He actually did some research, which is a thing he doesn't normally do.
No.
Of course, he took notes in his own handwriting, which is his downfall. And
yeah, well, everybody has a downfall.
So,
my handwriting is mine.
My argument is we both think that Logan is a really good movie. We'll start there.
Like an almost untouchably good movie.
Like, it's great.
All right?
That said, the story that was out at the time was, and he says it's not because of the timeline, but if you actually think about it, Disney announced that they planned on purchasing Marvel a year after Logan came out, right? Or no, it was a year after Old Man Logan comics.
Yes. So a year after Old Man Logan started, they announced the acquisition of Marvel.
Right. But anyone with half a brain, which doesn't include him, knows that if they announced it, they had been working behind the scenes for much time.
Probably many years to get it done,
right.
Yes.
So that means Disney was already influencing the company that they were buying, because that's legitimately how Disney is. They just buy their competition.
I mean, yeah, so far. I mean, before they acquired Fox, the guy in charge was in talks to try to acquire Warner.
And now Warner and Fox are doing like the Max bundle together with them.
Warner and Disney.
That's what I meant.
Because it's Disney Plus and HBO now.
Yeah. So, Disney's trying to... that's not an acquisition, but anyway, the point is, it takes years for these things to happen.
Yes.
Okay? So, he likes to say, well, Disney didn't have any say, and this isn't true because... And it's like, he just admitted...
Yes, it does take years for an acquisition like that to go through.
And it doesn't take years for a new line of comics to come out.
No, that takes like a month and a half tops for them to color things in, depending on
the situation.
Like if it's digital, it's easier, obviously.
Unless it's something so drastically changed that the parent company says no.
Right.
But anyway, so the rumor, I'll get to the point, was that Old Man Logan was created out of anger at the fans of the Wolverine movies and the X-Men Universe movies, because they wanted to get the rights back to those. And if people stopped going to see the bad X-Men movies, because some of them are pretty bad.
I mean, some of them are definitely bad.
Some of them are amazing.
I mean, we got Logan,
And there's others that are amazing. There's just others that are also complete crap.
Yeah.
And again, we agree on some of this.
Oh, absolutely.
The story was they created this as an FU to the fans. They were angry because they're like, stop going and seeing these movies. Okay, we'll teach you a lesson. You want to keep going and see these movies so that Fox won't sell it back to us? Fine. We're going to make him old, make him weak, make him everything you wish Wolverine was, the opposite. We're going to take away everything you know. And it's like, oh, the X-Men, they won't be involved. And they just destroyed everything good about the character and the X-Men with this series.
So,
hold on.
A correction. And it's not a part of the debate, but the X-Men were involved. The storyline is Mysterio convinced him...
We'll get to that later. I know the storyline.
Well, they were involved. They were the inciting incident.
It's kind of like, hey, why is Logan all upset? Oh, flashback. Remember when he already did a thing? That it wasn't. It started with the thing was done.
Well, but either way.
Anyway, the point is, it was done as an FU. They're like, we're going to take away everything cool about Wolverine, make him old and falling apart. Because why? We hate you. We're mad at you because we want ownership of this property so that when we sell it to Disney, we'll get more money because we'll be able to say, and the X-Men. And that was behind the scenes stuff. Okay? Then his argument became, well, it's a good representation of the comic book. Which, if you've read the comic book and you've watched the movie, almost nothing is the same. So now let's start our debate, because that's basically what the argument was. And I said it's not a good movie based on the comics, and it's not good in the fact that, I mean, it's a good movie, but why are people supporting a movie based on a series of comics that were Marvel literally saying, we hate the people who buy these comics and watch these movies? The intent was to say F you, and people went, yes, F us. Super hard. Bring up your first point.
All right, so, for starters, and it doesn't matter how long behind the scenes it was going on, all right? Disney was not making money off of the Marvel Comics until late 2009. It was December of 2009 when the acquisition finally went through.
Correct.
The comic book run, written by Mark Millar, who should be indifferent on the matter altogether, started in early to mid 2008. Meaning anything up to 2009 of this brand new character created by Mark Millar and the...
Brand new character. Logan, a.k.a. Wolverine. Brand new
Old
character.
man Logan.
Okay.
Brand new representation of the same character.
Later on. Go ahead. New character.
Yes.
No, when they did the Rugrats and then did...
All Grown Up?
All Grown Up when they were teenagers, guess what? They were the same characters. They were just older. They did not create a single new character. The characters created by went to the same exact people.
An original story.
Sure.
Okay. Whatever. Character already existed. New take on old character.
For 300 years, Logan has not aged. And now, in this series of events, he's old. One of his powers is he can't get old. We're going to take that away. Oh, he can make the claws do all sorts of like cool slash and slice things. Yeah, he's going to kind of have, well, they made fun of it in Deadpool. He's going to have whiskey claws.
Right. Well, so
a lot of, and he did in Logan the movie too. Like
in Logan the movie, he did.
Right.
Which was something original for the movies, not the comics. He didn't really have those problems in the comics. There were other problems with the bones, but not the not coming out problem.
Oh, and I forgot the thing where I say the blank to my blank. For this one, I was going to say to my right is the X-Men Origins version of Wolverine to my awful version of Deadpool. Because that movie had the worst version of basically both
of
things.
them? Yeah.
Like, out of all the times you've seen Wolverine, even in the bad X-Men movies...
Like, the first 15 minutes of that movie gave us probably the best Wolverine.
Well...
And then they abandoned that completely.
And then what they did to Deadpool is... And this is...
An atrocity.
It's a sin. But anyway, back to the things we disagree on.
Yes. Well, that's the end of what I have written here.
All right. Well, I'll start reading my stuff, and you can respond, okay?
Okay.
The story of the comics start with Logan owing rent to his landlords, who are the grandchildren of the Hulk. The Hulk is the first really big bad guy he has to deal with. Now,
I believe
your
that this
claim
is Maestro,
that Logan was the... like a good version of this comic series. Where was the Hulk in Logan?
Fox didn't have the rights to it.
Okay, hold on. Then he didn't travel with Professor X. He traveled with Hawkeye. Where was Hawkeye?
In place of Professor X.
Where was Hawkeye?
Also at Disney, yes.
Okay. Hold on. Oh, he was at Disney, but I thought this was... Oh, anyway.
I'm very confused as to what that was supposed to mean.
We'll get into it. He caught a virus that caused him to have a bad reaction to his adamantium. That's why it started killing him and aging him in the comics. In the movie, it's just always been poisoning him. That's how they explained it in the movie. It's all...
and from the beginning, it's toxic in the movies.
But his healing factor is why it never can age or kill him. So they made up for the comics a new disease that made it start overpowering his healing. That's literally how they explained it, so that people reading it wouldn't go, but that's not possible.
Okay. In the movie, there's actually a much better explanation as to how that's happening.
We just made up a thing that...
People in charge of the government who hate the mutants and have wanted to eradicate them and make them into their own soldiers started poisoning the water with a specific chemical that literally depowers mutants. All right? So after a decade of drinking poisoned water and poisoned whiskey, because it's in the wheat that they're growing, he's been literally choosing to depower himself over time.
He didn't choose to in the movie.
Yes, he did, because they've been very, look at this, we're poisoning your water. And he's been drinking the water and drinking the whiskey that's all poisoned.
You're right. He chose to because, you don't die from not drinking water. What?
Well, he wouldn't. He'd heal.
Your healing factor doesn't keep you from dehydrating. His healing factor wouldn't hydrate him when he's, dying of thirst.
So you're going to argue that he can die from dehydration.
No.
But can't die from poisoning?
Because his body would heal against the poison. You can't heal. I haven't had water past my lips in months. You can't heal from that.
He's healed back from drowning. He's healed back from everything. He healed back from a drop of blood.
That was Deadpool.
That was both. Deadpool did it right after Wolverine did it.
I knew Deadpool did it, but I didn't... Anyway. I don't think Deadpool...
No, Wolverine did it.
I know Deadpool did. I'm not 100% on that. I don't read every comic, but you always said that this was a good representation of the comics, and like I said, the comics had no X-23.
Right.
Okay. They had no Professor X. They had the Hulk. They had Mysterio, who, now, to be fair, at the time, they might have been able to deal with Sony, who was currently working with Marvel, because they had the rights to Mysterio because he was part of the Spider-Man purchase.
They probably could have done that.
And maybe Sony would... I could see Sony working with them, but Sony might have just said no based on they were currently working with Marvel. You see what I'm saying? Well, no, they weren't at that time because it was before the Sony Marvel stuff.
Oh, was it now?
It was before... Yes. When was the first Spider-Man with Tom Holland?
2016.
Okay.
Or 2017.
And when was Logan?
2017. And Civil War was 2016, before Logan.
I was conflating when the comics and the movie were. My bad. I'll admit when I'm definitely wrong, and that was me conflating two things. Fine. But let's see. But because they were working with them, maybe they didn't want to piss them off by also working with Fox, because they wanted to work with Fox before.
In the second Spider-Man, the original
the Garfield was going to have Wolverine. Nope. Wasn't it the Garfield one?
Not in 2002, it wasn't. Or 2004. In Spider-Man 2, it was going to be the train fight that ended up being Spider-Man versus Octopus on the train. Wolverine was going to be on the train. Dr. Octopus was going to have thrown Pete into the train.
And interestingly, the only reason it didn't happen was he didn't have the suit with him.
No,
there was something with the suit.
Hugh Jackman was filming something else at the same time.
I heard a story that he didn't have the suit available.
What suit?
The suit he was going to wear of Wolverine. What do you mean, what suit?
He wouldn't have to. At that point, he'd worn two things, and if he's on a train as a regular person, it would have just been his jacket and his clothes.
I watched a video recently that said that was the thing. was they
It
didn't
was
have the
a
suit
mishap
available.
with scheduling.
The point is, so
But-
they could have reached out, but maybe they were worried about what the heck? Something.
We
glitched.
go down? Okay.
All right. Well, don't mind the background being off. That's weird.
Yeah.
Hey, you're against a blue screen.
But,
Are you just a floating head? Anyway.
okay. Debate. I'm not, actually.
Well, okay. I didn't think you actually were, so that's not a debate. Logan had to deal with an evil, crazy Hulk and his brood. The miniseries that they had after the first run tied into Secret Wars, but apparently then with the third series that happened with Old Man Logan, they you don't really need the Secret Wars thing. So you can, but it's not.
But
as
it doesn't
important.
matter. Right.
But it said basically they used the multiverse going boom with fragments of dead worlds, and their timelines fused together into what they called Battle World.
Battleworld was a Doom thing. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Doom did that. He actually called himself God.
God Emperor Doom.
Yeah. But anyway, obviously some of those things they couldn't have, but they could have had Doom because Fox had Doom.
Fox did have Doom.
Now,
they don't know how
I'm
to do
not
Doom.
sure when that series that had the Battle World thing, I don't know if that was before 2017.
It was everywhere between like 08 and
So it was before the Logan movie.
like 14 or 15, something
So
like
it
that.
was before the Logan movie.
Yes.
See, now that it's easy to point out they didn't have this character or that character.
Because they didn't have the rights to these characters.
Right. But the main story wasn't the same. His reason for traveling wasn't the same. The people he was with wasn't the only thing that was the same is he's slowly dying.
And he's on a road trip.
You claimed it was a good representation of the comics.
It was the best representation they could possibly have done. So to me, that is a good representation of what they could do.
Except almost zero things that happened on the film came from the comic books. That's not how good representation comes.
And you're only basing this off of the Old Man Logan stuff.
Which is what
Dead Man Logan, which is a sequel series to Old Man Logan, which is where he dies, and that's what the Logan movie was also based on. He dies.
I mean, he
kind of
survives Battle World, and they're still going, it said.
Right, but Battle World was multiverse, so Dead Man Logan was another offshoot with the Old Man Logan character, but it was canon to that universe.
The problem
is...
They
do stupid stuff.
It was supposed to be a separate universe for Old Man Logan, but in the Logan movie, it was the X-Men universe, which they still... And let's not pretend they've ever had that timeline good.
No, I mean, after Days of Future Past, it's supposed to be like 4 years later.
Every bit of timeline stuff that you look into on the X-Men movies...
You'll get all tied up into a knot.
Like, including when they tried to fix it using time...
That made it worse.
Deadpool had.
Oh, the temp pad?
Yeah. Like, that he tried to fix it, and nope.
I mean, he didn't try to fix it. All he did was screw with it.
I mean, he tried to fix certain things, like killing the alternate version of him that sucked.
Well, yeah. Oh, with Cable's time machine.
And stopping Green Lantern from happening.
Oh, okay.
Which is appreciated, actually. But, my point has always been, great movie, nothing to do with anything Logan related from the comics. And you're like, it's a good representation of the comics. The
important parts of the comic for what they were doing is we're killing off the character and he's going on a road trip to do it.
Here's what really happened. We're mad at the fans, so we're going to ruin a character as a FU. That is our reasoning. And the people went, we enjoy this. Yes, F us. Really, really hard. Do it.
And then...
Hold on. And then Fox went, I guess we'll make a movie of FU. And people
made
went,
$1 billion.
More. People wanted more of getting F.
Let's pretend it was from Disney, even though it was before Disney had the rights technically. If it was from Disney, then they lost even bigger in the long run.
But if you don't think
Fox made $1 billion off of the FU to us.
But if you don't think Marvel as an entity, knowing they were being purchased, weren't making decisions to kiss Mickey's butt, then you don't know the way the boardrooms work behind the scenes, especially when it comes to Mickey Mouse and his friggin' henchmen.
Either way.
That's right. I'm willing to speak it. Come on, Mickey. Oh, boy. Anyway.
Where do we go from here?
I don't know, because, like, honestly, we're never going to agree on this.
No. Because it's what they could do. And now,
to a point,
we still can't
that.
do it today.
To a point, I can see that. But
because now that Disney's got X-Men and Fantastic Four all back home,
there's not a single person that wants the Old Man Logan comics done over by Disney with Logan the way it exists.
First of all, with Logan the way that it exists and the homage that we got to it in Deadpool.
Fair, Fox was like, hey, how many times do you think we can like squeeze blood from a stone when it comes to the friggin' Dark Phoenix saga?
3 times?
Right. So they could.
And
they could.
I've seen Dark Phoenix. All right, I gotta say, Last Stand is not that bad.
What scares me? Disney's gonna want to try to do the Dark Phoenix in their own version.
But
if
they do it the way they've done things before, it would be a whole phase.
New argument. No.
Not no. If we finally got it right with the Phoenix 5, the death of Charles Xavier.
But then how did he make it to Logan, derp?
What do you mean, how did he make it to Logan?
If he died first.
In Dark Phoenix doesn't take place first. Dark Phoenix
takes place after all the X-Men had been wiped out in Logan?
Yeah. On an alternate universe.
You see how dumb he sounds? You see how dumb I sound? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, at least he's high. He has a little bit of an excuse. To be fair, anyone out there that knows him personally knows that that's not why he sounds dumb. He sounds dumb sober.
Yeah. Also, one of the points I wanted to make that I ended up not making because it didn't make any sense was Mark Miller, who created the original story for that, did the writing of the story behind the scenes. He obviously would be indifferent on an FU to the fans or not because...
No, he would want his stuff purchased because then...
Right. Like, he wouldn't want an FU to the fans for the people he's writing for. So him writing it wasn't that for him, A. And B, previously, the only other big comic book for Marvel he had done was Civil War, arguably one of the best comic books ever.
Way better than the Civil War movie.
I mean, yeah.
And I really liked the Civil War movie.
That's easy. Because the Civil War comic starts with, a huge explosion. It actually has an inciting incident that makes sense for the comics. And the movie, it was just like, yeah, now that Bucky's back, he's evil. But maybe he's not.
Is next week going to, just so I can give a preview, is it going to be...
I believe that it's a review
of the next movie. I'm a DC fan more than anything, which is why I don't have all the facts about the X-Men stuff. I'm a big fan of Wolverine, but we're doing a thing for the next one. It should be the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, I do believe so.
Because we already did Iron Man 1, but we're going through the Marvel MCU specifically.
In order.
And then we'll go back and touch on other Marvel movies like the Fox stuff and whatever.
And we'll finally get back to Logan. But
that's true. But then I'll be able to talk about all the things I like about it. Because I do, that movie is
And then I'll be
good.
able to say the things I don't like about it. Imagine that.
But, all right, that's the show for this week. And as always, I'm blunt because God rolled me that way.